Hi, guys. It is 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which means we are coming back together for day 5. So, welcome to day 5. It is so good to be with you. I'm almost a little bit sad that this is the 5th day. However, stay tuned till the end because we are going to have a little bit of an after party over the next few days, and that'll be happening at noon Eastern Standard Time over the next few days. So stay tuned, and I will give you the details of that. Samantha, you deserve a prize. You're literally the first comment every single time. Look at her enthusiasm. That's how you get noticed. You just show up early and often. I am so excited to get into today's content. I have a lot I want to share with you. I'm going to give everyone a second to find out that we're on. How are you? How are you feeling? How was your day? How was your week? How has your week been different than maybe it was last week? My hope is that it's made a difference. My hope is that the conversations we've had, the work you've done, the processing you've done, I'm hoping that it's unearthed something for you. I'm hoping that this is bringing you home to yourself. You know, we all want so badly to be seen. I think the greatest thing we want is to be seen. And in the work I've done on myself, I've come to realize that the person we want to be seen by most of all is ourselves, right? We want to greet ourselves at our own door. We want to be known to ourselves, right? And we're always looking everywhere for the answers. And what's amazing about our greatest moments of insight, it usually happens with our eyes closed, right? Meditation, prayer, when we're reflecting, right? And sometimes that's when we actually see the clearest with our eyes closed. And so I hope that this work has brought you back in and brought you home to you, because you're pretty damn cool. And I think we spend a lot of time feeling as though there's something missing, there's something broken, and everyone else has the answer and somehow we just don't. And that's really just simply not true. And so there's actually a phenomenon called pluralistic ignorance, where everybody assumes that everyone else has it together except for them. And the reason being is because we know our idiosyncrasies so well, but we don't know Beyonce's, right? But I guarantee you that she looks at other people and she thinks they have something that she doesn't. I guarantee it, because this is a phenomenon that every person has. So welcome back to you. And I want to ask a question before we dive in. We are going to go deeper with the sales conversation we had yesterday, and then we're gonna sort of sum up with what I think are some of the most important pieces here. But before we go into step 4 and 5, yesterday we covered steps 1, 2, and 3. Before we go into that, I just want to ask a bigger question, which is really, I think, the question. And I think the question we're always asking is, who am I? Who really am I? And what I hope and what I really want for you is I want you to really have a vision for your life, right? I want you to drive the bus, because if not, then life will just sort of drive you where it wants to go. I want you to be intentional, because I think that the true calling of every human being, the true calling of everything that's alive, right, is that we want to be the greatest expression of ourselves. We want to be the greatest expression of ourselves. And I'll tell you this, is that so often we put so much weight on the outcome. We put so much weight on, will people like the podcast? Will people buy the product? Will people download the app? You know, what's the outcome? What's the outcome? And what I really want to make sure that you're clear about is that your job is not to worry about that part. Your job is to meet your edge and to show up and do that which you know you need to do. So often I'm talking to people and they play this role of I don't know. And the truth is that you do know, but it's more comfortable to say I don't know, because then you don't have to do anything about it. But at any moment in time, there's an edge for you. There's an edge. And that edge is that's the reef you need to cross. And when you do that, you get so much satisfaction because you break through that ceiling. You know how often I'm talking to somebody and they have a ceiling, right? They have all these limiting beliefs, and they're arguing for their limitations, and I'm arguing for them. And they're saying, no, 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 no. And they're proving it. They're like going over and over. Of course I can't do that. They are arguing for their limitations. They are lawyered up, and they are telling me all the reasons why that ceiling, that's it. And don't I get it? And I'm like, dude, that ceiling needs to become your floor. Boom, we need to break through that, right? And then whatever comes, if the money comes, if the followers come, if all that stuff comes, great. But really and truly, the satisfaction you get they've actually done studies, once you make a certain amount of money, the rest of it sort of becomes you get a little desensitized. So what do you get? You get to grow, right? We want progress as human beings. Do you understand? It's the difference between, look at water, okay? So if you go and look at the Colorado River, it's like vitality, it's energy, it's electrifying, right? It's moving, it's constantly moving. What happens to water that doesn't move? Look at a pond, right? It just sits and it gets algae and it's poison. Don't you dare drink that, right? You don't drink that. It's stagnant. You don't want to be stagnant. You do not want to be stagnant. You want to grow. So what do you get from all this stuff that's in your mind that you think you might want to do? It's really the up level, right? It's the breakthrough. It's breaking through your garbage, breaking through your crap, building a new ceiling, like having more expansion. That's what you get, right? That's where the satisfaction comes. And then all that other stuff is just gravy, right? It's just gravy. I also want you to understand, Dr. Martin Luther King said something, he said so many things, but one of the things he said is that not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be in service. Not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be in service. And we are built to serve. And I want you to understand something. And we're going to talk about this more when we get to number 5 in the sales process. When you serve, you will be significant. And when you are significant because of your service, success will find you. That is a fact. When you serve, you will find immense significance and success will find you. It won't be able to not find you, right? So if you want to build a brand, right, build a legacy. Show up, meet your edge, and be in service. And that's what we're talking about this week. That's what we're talking about this week, right? And it really is important who you spend time with. It really, really is important. I want you to remember this, but as I know a lot of you are questioning right now, like, what are you going to do with all this inspiration, right? Some of you are like, I'm all in, I'm going to be part of this program. Some of you are like, maybe going to make some changes in your life. But I want you to understand that who you spend time with is really important. If you play chess with someone who's better than you, even if you lose that game, what happens? You get better at playing chess just by playing with that person. Yes, that's the up level. And you've got to have it. So like I said yesterday, I don't care if it's not me. I have like at least 47 friends right now who are in the same space as me who coach their butts off. So if it's not me, you find a coach that's for you and you get in that ring and go play chess against someone. Play chess with someone who's gone a few steps further to push you out of that comfort zone and push you over that edge. You deserve it. Don't be cheap with yourself. That's what I'm saying. All right, we're going to get in now to steps 4 and 5, and then I got some surprises to share with you. All right, so step number 4. Let's repeat steps 1, 2, and 3. Those of you who didn't get to see video from day 4, you guys can go back and watch the first 3 steps, but let's go over. We were talking about money. And I hope that you guys did that homework assignment, and I hope that you guys came together and you talked it out with each other, because that money stuff, it's got to go. It's got to go. And we realize more and more that our invisible world is what creates the visible world. Our invisible world creates the visible world. So your junk, your beliefs around money, they are completely in control. Don't think that they're not. Your subconscious, it hangs on to all that stuff, right? I want you to understand the way the mind works. The mind is like Velcro for negativity, and it is Teflon for positivity, because the mind is built, it wants to study and solve problems and protect you. So it wants something super juicy, right? So it's going to ruminate much more on, ooh, this is unsafe. Ooh, this could actually hurt you. Ooh, money could be the root of all evil. Ooh, right? Rather than like, it's easy here, it's positive here. So we've got to break through that, which means the way you learn anything, how do you learn the alphabet when you're 3 years old? How do you learn numbers? How do you learn anything? Repetition. So you've got to show up and first of all, have that awareness of what's going on and rewrite that story, rewrite that script, and just repeat it. And the other way to do that is to be, again, around people who have a very different relationship with whatever that is, and it's going to wash over you. So we talked yesterday about money, that's first of all. And I want you to really look at that, because boy, is money such a gift, and boy, does it buy happiness. I said to Gretchen Rubin when she was on the show, I think I told you this, but I said, do you need money to be happy? And she said 100% yes. She said, because you need your time, right? And money gives you freedom to spend your time how you want it. Because if all day long you've got to get together $15 just so you can eat, and you got to worry about that all day long, you don't have the freedom to go make that thing, to go help that person. You don't have that freedom because you got to worry about sustenance, right? So we definitely want to change our relationship with money, because, oh my God, is there so much abundance. The world is abundant. Deepak Chopra was saying recently how the whole universe is abundant. Like that is the inherent nature of the universe. Like if you look in the ocean and you go down like 6 feet, 20 feet, it's just abundant. There's like a whole world down there. Like it's all these species. There's a kelp forest. It's amazing. It's like the Amazon is in the underworld. Then if you go to the Amazon itself, oh my gosh, it's so abundant. All the flowers, all the trees, all of it. God, it's amazing, right? Then you look at humankind, right? Boy, is that abundant. All the different people, the flavors, the foods. Like I've got freckles. Some people don't. Some people look this way. Some people have this color hair. Like we all have these different personalities, these different imprints. It's awesome. Like there is so much abundance here. So all of that is really just an illusion, and you get to decide what is the visible world you want to create based on whatever invisible stuff you're feeding yourself all day long. Let's choose a new script, because I don't know that script is serving anybody. Okay. All right. So we talked about that. And then we went into the 5, what I think, these are just my personal takes on the 5 keys to making sales, right? To making it work. And I said yesterday, if you don't like selling, you're doing it wrong, or you saw someone doing it wrong, and that's why you don't like it, because selling is really being in service. So let's go over it. We talked about yesterday how confused buyers don't buy. That was number 1. And we talked all about like, don't give them a salad bar, be specific, solve a problem. Number 2, we talked about word of mouth, and we talked about how this is really the way things work. And so if we really focus on serving so well a few people, they won't be able to help it. And they're going to each tell 3 people, and then they're going to each tell 3 people. And we never have to sell anything, because our service speaks for itself. Number 3, we talked about how we don't sell price. We don't sell price, we sell value. And I want you to know something else, which is that the whole world is not destitute, right? Like sometimes when we are in a scarcity mindset, we think that the whole world is that way. It's not true. Like there's a lot of people right now buying things. There's a lot of people right now who are relocating and buying new homes, buying second homes. There are people who are cashed up right now because they got some extra money. There are people who are able to spend more money right now because they're able to work from home, and they're able to use this extra time that they have that they used to be commuting, spending money on online shopping or some kind of course. Like the studies are in, like people are spending money, right? So even if you're focusing on like, well, these people are, really down and out, it's like, yeah, and there's almost 8 billion people here, right? There's a lot of people where that's not the story. And for anybody who has Wi-Fi, right? Anyone who's got running water, like we've got no excuse. We've got no excuse. Our greatest resource is our resourcefulness. And we're the ones who have the privilege, right? There's a lot of privilege here. It's like, let's use it to go build something for the economy so we can hire people, so we can put money back into the economy. Like, let's not shrink and say, who am I to sell right now? It's like, no, we need courage. We need any person who's willing to show up and start moving that blood through the body. Remember I said money's got to be moved around. It's like blood in the body. Can't stop. So the best thing you can do for anybody else is not play small, but play bigger so that you can serve more, find ways to give value, make more, and then put that right back into the economy. Go buy from a maker, go buy from someone local, go hire somebody else. Like that's what we need. That's what we need. We don't want one more person who's like, I'm shrinking, I've got nothing. And no, that's not going to help anybody. Okay. All right. So we talked about we don't sell price, we sell value. And we talked about choosing your fishing holes. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about steps 4 and 5. Who's with me? Who's ready for this? Okay, great. Okay, so step number 4. You ready? Build the well before you're thirsty. All right. So again, we go back to abundance. And as my friend Jordan Harbinger likes to say, ABG. Always be generous. Always be generous. Always, 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 always be generous. So what does that mean? Okay. What that means is we have to remember it's kind of like, it's like sex. It's like foreplay. It's like anything, right? Like you've got to make the deposits first. Like you've got to create a relationship. Who do people buy from? People buy from those people that they know and like and trust. Okay. So that's why when I said yesterday, if somebody slides into your DMs and they're like, hey, you want to lose weight? Hey, you want a new sofa? Hey, you need someone to clean your house? You're like, I don't know you. I'm just like grossed out right now, right? Sales is really about, we've got to show up and be generous. It's about the relationship. It's a people's game. People. Okay. So what does that mean? There's studies that show this, but in psychology, we know that there's an emotional bank account with people. Okay. So I want you to think about it like an actual bank account. If you want to make a withdrawal from the bank, but you've made no deposits, do you have any money to take out? No, ma'am. But if you make deposits and you keep making deposits, right, you'll be able to withdraw something at some point. Okay. So imagine you move in and somebody comes, you've never met this person. They're a neighbor. They walk up, knock on your door. They're like, hey, my name is James. I live next door. Like, hey, he's like, hey, can you take me to the airport? And you're like, what a weirdo. Like, no, right? I don't know you. I'm going to drive you to the airport. So that's not really playing with a full deck. Okay. So we've got to make the deposits. And the studies are showing that roughly the way it works with human beings is for every 7 deposits, you'll make a withdrawal and it'll feel natural, it'll feel appropriate. So that means you spend your time not trying to go for the ask. No, you don't have to do that. You almost never have to do that because you just show up and give and you give and you give. And then the ask actually happens organically. They're going to ask you, right? You will put it out there. You will create an invitation for people to be able to be served by you on a scale where they can pay you. Absolutely, right? People want that from you. They're gonna be like, oh my God, I'm so happy this store opened up on Main Street. Oh my God, I'm so happy this person's offering acupuncture. Oh great, that's so great, right? But the reason they're gonna buy from you and not somebody else is because you've made those deposits. So we forget that, right? But when an album comes out, right? You've heard that artist, right? You saw that artist. Oh yeah, I heard about her, or I saw a billboard, or I heard, yeah, and then I saw her. She was a guest on Saturday Night Live, or it's like, and then you go and buy that record, right? When a movie comes out, there's been a trailer. You've heard about that. There was an article about it. You saw the making of behind the scenes, right? They're building a relationship with you, okay? And then we have to think about that when we're entrepreneurs, when we're solopreneurs in the same way. So I want you to think about how we need to create an experience first of what it is that we do. So how can we do that, right? It's like going to the mall and you go through the food court and there's always that like sesame chicken and they're always out there like, here, you want to taste it? And that's great because the second it hits your lips, it's just so good, right? You're like, I'm all in, give me a plate of it, right? So that is really the idea here. So we want people to have an experience. Have you ever bought a car before you test drove it? Have you ever decided like, yeah, I'm going to marry that person. I never went on a date with that person, right? You want to give them an experience of it. So how can you get really creative and how can, instead of worrying about the sale, which feels awkward because it is awkward to go right to the sale. That's not how it works. Instead, how can you think the same way that Nike and Google and every successful company thinks? And how can you be worried about how can I just show up and give? How can I create a relationship? How can I make intimacy happen with this person? I don't know. So whatever it is your thing, what would be the free experience? So like I wrote down, if you have a product, right? Like, can you give somebody a demo of it? Can they have a taste of it? My friend Jenny, who I mentioned the other day, she created something called Mrs. Goldfarb's Unreal Deli and she went on Shark Tank and I told you it's an amazing story, but She did that within 10 months. Like she was messing around in her kitchen. 10 months later, she's on Shark Tank. And the first step, right? The first step was she served it to her friends and family at a party she had. Then she made a bunch of sandwiches, cut them up in little triangles, and was standing in front of the local grocery store and asking people, like, do you want to try this? And people had a decent reaction to it. So she was like, all right, I'm going to make a few calls. And she called some of the local delis in Los Angeles and said, can I talk to the manager? And said, can I bring you a bite of it? She didn't say, hey, Mark, you want to buy 10 pounds? Like, I don't know you, dude. Like, no, like, that's not the way it works. She's like, can I offer you something? Can I give you something? And then he was like, sure. She's asking if she can give me a sample. Okay. So then she comes down and she makes space for the person and she connects like a real human, and says, what do you think of it? And the person can respond, right? The person can respond. So that sample, that's everything. That's everything right there. So what would be another example? So for every single category, we talked about maker, teacher, we talked about curator, investigator. What would be you getting busy, starting to brainstorm, like what would be my free experience that I would give? This is essential, right? So if you're going to be teaching yoga, what do you want to do first? Like get on Zoom with 3 moms. Like I'm teaching yoga to busy moms and that's my demographic and I'm going to make it super specific. Hint, hint. Remember I told you to make it specific, specialize. You can teach yoga to anyone. No, I'm specializing in teaching it to kids. Okay, you're going to do better. Your business just improved, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to call a bunch of moms and say, I'm doing a class for kids, or I'm doing a class for moms, whatever your thing is, right? Or I'm a guy, I'm teaching yoga to guys who are in corporate, who need a break. It's like, great, perfect. Whatever your thing is, you're going to offer them first a free experience in that. So teacher, product, what else? What else would be an experience, right? What else could you create? There's this amazing story about this girl, Claudia Barella, who lives in New York City. And I remember reading this. It was in the New York Times before I did my very first episode of the podcast. So I mentioned her on there. What was amazing is like she started this whole business selling flan, right? Flan is like a Latin dessert. It's like custard. And the way it started was she was like giving her people on her floor in her apartment, like she would like make little cups of flan and they liked it. And then she gave it to other people to taste and they liked it. And like, it grew into, oh, maybe I'll sell this for $4 a cup. And then eventually she got into Dean and DeLuca and all these places. And then she had her own brick and mortar and making flan. Like it's amazing. It's not rocket science. It's just that what happens is we think to ourselves, oh my God, I could never just go ask someone for something. It's like, well, that's because you're normal. That's because you have some emotional intelligence. But this is actually how businesses start. Businesses start by making some deposits, by connecting with people, right? All right, let's move on. The 5th one, but before I do that, I just want to say a couple more things really, really fast before I go on. You can also give people a taste of it on social media. That's what I was saying the other day. Like a lot of people don't get what social media is. But if business is about creating relationships and intimacy, then we're really lucky that we have those platforms because I can show up here, right? This 5-day challenge, this is a free sample. This is a taste. This is an experience where you get a sense of who is Kathy? What does she do? And I just give it to you, right? Like there's no paywall here. It's like, just come and enjoy this for 5 whole days. And like, I'm going to really show up for it. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm glad you're here. I'll be here 10 minutes a day. But if you really want the whole thing, you need to pay me. It's like, that's not going to build intimacy. That's not going to build trust. But what about even on social media, right? If you're not ready to do a 5-day challenge, how can you use that platform to teach, to share, to educate, to inform, to create intimacy, to talk about your own vulnerabilities? Like that's building a relationship. So we can use these platforms to build that well, Okay. So number 4 is about build the well before you're thirsty. Okay. And it's about, and really the thing I always be generous. So number 5, okay. Number 5 is sales is not about closing a sale. It's about opening a relationship. Okay. And what we want to understand is that it's about solving somebody's pain point, right? It really is about service. I said to you a couple days ago that the difference between a hobby and a business is that if there's a business, it means it's about someone else because someone's paying you, right? So you better care. Like you need to care what they want, right? Because it is about them paying you their money, right? They're exchanging value for value. So we want to care what they want. So it's really essential that we build business around other people and what other people need. Somebody just said, what about services? So just to go back, if you're saying, but I have service, it's like, can you give them an hour? of your service for free to try it? Like, I wash cars. Let me wash your car for you first for free. If I do a great job, we can create a membership where I come back on the fourth Friday of every month. Let's do this. I organize houses. I'm going to give you the first hour for free. If you like it, then you'll talk to them about your packages, right? It's like no brainer. It's like just show up. And before that, before they even get there, you could be using social media to like talk a little bit about some tips to organize, some tips to wash that car, some ways that you've done it. You could do a stop motion little video about it. You don't even have to get that interesting about it. You could be very, very simple, but you can show up and you can connect and you can teach and you can offer and you can just deposit. And remember that no matter what your business is, whether you're going to open a coffee shop or you're going to be, I don't know, I said before, teaching yoga, whatever you're going to be doing, the number one thing every person wants is to feel seen. That's really what we want. Like, we live in an empathy deficit. I said that before, and everyone's so busy. It's like, hey, how are you doing? And no one really is there to say like, no, really, how are you doing? So if you're that person who brings empathy and who has presence and you're there, you're the person they're going to want to buy coffee from. They're going to want to go to your yoga class because that's really what we want. We're human beings. We buy feelings. We don't buy things. So remember that like you're more than enough. You have more than enough to give just by being available to see somebody else. And that's a fact, okay? So what do I mean about solving people's pain points? What I mean is that very often we don't spend enough time really listening and making it easier for ourselves. So remember I told you how I was licensing music to film and TV, which was great, right? It was great. And then I showed you that Mocha's in Music thing, and I went into people's offices, which was awesome because it allowed me to ask them, what songs do you need? What story are you telling? What are the characters going through in this season? Oh, awesome. So instead of me writing some like party song about going to Nashville, nobody in the show is going to Nashville this season. You wouldn't need that. What do you need? Oh, you need a song about sisters. Oh, you need a song about Paris. Oh my God, I'm going to go write that song, right? So what do you need? Begin with the end in mind, okay? So we have to make it easier than we make it, and then we will actually hit the target. So another example is after that, I started teaching workshops to songwriters, and I would help them figure out how to license their music. And before I did the very first class, okay, I sat down with a couple songwriter friends of mine and I said, what are the questions you have? Because I wanted them to basically let me know what they want me to teach. And it was so fascinating because I was like, oh, you know what? I took that for granted. I've been doing this so long. I forgot that you would need to know that. Or I didn't, okay, cool. And I built the class for them. So it's about thinking like, who's the one person who comes to mind? If you are my friend Jenny and you're making vegan food, can you think of one person who's interested in that? And can you sit down with her and give her a free sample of something? Or if you're about to make these like beautiful, delicious soy candles made of essential oils, can you think of one person who comes to mind who you know who might be the kind of buyer for that? And could you sit with her and maybe she would give you 15 minutes of her time to give you some feedback? And then remember, this is what every business does. This is what Skippy Peanut Butter is doing. This is what every business is doing with their time. They're creating focus groups. They don't just like put it on themselves to create the most perfect line of products and put them in the store and then they're all dumb and nobody wants them. They would never do that. Instead, they would go to the person first and say, oh, you want this on? Oh, you want hotter, colder? Oh, you want it blue? Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah, we're going to make it like that. We want to serve. We're here to serve. And then it's no surprise then why people want to go and buy it because they've been starting with the person in mind, okay? And so I want you to start to think about a few questions, and you can write these down, okay? So when inside of our program, we really make sure that you guys do this work, okay? And we help people create these Google Forms, and we hold your feet to the fire, and we're like, come on, we're here for you. Like, we're here for the transformation, so we're gonna make sure you get this done. But we do create these Google Forms, and some of the questions on those Google Forms would be, what did you like about this, right? So let's say you just gave somebody a free 45-minute Zoom video, a yoga class, right? Let's say you just gave someone a taste of that vegan cake pop. Let's say you just gave someone an hour of your organizing services. Whatever your business is, it works. You want to give them a Google form and you want to say, first question, what did you like about this? Okay. What did you not like about this? Now here's a question you might not have thought of asking. Have you ever tried anything like this before? Now, why is that an important question? The reason that's an important question is because you want to validate if this is actually a good lead for you or not. Because let's say you gave them the vegan cake pops and they're like, didn't like it. Have you ever tried anything like it? No. Why not? I'm not vegan and I hate vegan food and I hate anything that's not got butter in it. Then their opinion is not the opinion you need to care so much about. You do need to care about the people who are busy eating vegan food and their opinion about whether it stacks up or not, or what's missing in it for them. Do you hear me? Right? So it wouldn't really matter, right? When I was signed to Interscope, I remember it was the exact same conversation. I was sitting with Ron Fair, my producer, and he said, whose audience would be your audience? And I'm like, what? I'm supposed to be original. He's like, no. We need to know, like, who do you think you'd open for? Like, whose audience would be your audience? And it's like, it's all a focus group. They're trying to make sure they hit it right, because there's certain people, like if you bring Amy Grant to a, hard rock, like metal concert, no one's interested. But it doesn't really matter if they don't like her, because that's not really her audience. So we need to go to her audience and find out if they like the new album. Does that make sense? Right? We need to go to the people who would actually be the buyer, right? So you want to make sure you ask that question. What do you like? What did you not like? Have you ever tried anything like this before? And then you want to ask them, like, what's your biggest pain point around this? So if it is that person eating your vegan cake pop, she might say, well, my biggest issue right now is I want to be able to find these vegan cake pops, except that all the vegan cake pops I have, even though they're vegan, there's a lot of sugar in them. I'm making this up. So I'd like to be able to find it without the sugar, right? And then you can say like, oh, that's where I'm going. That's the problem I want to solve. Potentially. I think another thing to remember, we talked about this a few days ago, is I said to you, why don't you look at other people's businesses that you admire and think about what do you like about them and what would you possibly change? Like what's missing there for you? Because that then maybe is a hole where you could start to solve a problem. It's all about solving the problem. So something really important to think about, and I do this with my business, is when they zig, you gotta zag. When they zig, you zag. So why is it with Made to Do This, that's my program, why did I create Made to Do This the way that I did? Because I noticed a problem in the market. I noticed a lot of people saying that they paid money for online courses and they were frustrated with themselves because they just, those classes were videos that sat on their desktop and they never actually watched it and it was a waste of money. And I said to myself, that's a problem, right? So I said, okay, when I do my program, I'm not going to create videos, which would be easier, right? I could just I could do a day-long shoot of videos, wear cute clothes, say all the right things, and just go ahead, and whether people watch them or not, that's on them. It's like, no, that's not going to, if I really am chasing the significance and the service, then I really care that people actually show up and get the work done. So I thought, I'm going to have a program where I really show up live. And in addition to teaching them the steps, I'm going to also create implementation sessions because I want them to really do the work and I want to leave no stone unturned. So if there's a question, if there's a hurdle in the way, it's like by the end of this program, it's a to-done list. When they zig, you zag. And when you do that, you guys, you become a category of one. You have no competition. You have no competition, right? So I want you to think about what that would look like for you. What does that look like for you to start to go to people and say, what do you need? What do you like? What's working for you? What's not working for you? And that's where you start to show up. Does that make sense? So for all of you over the last few days, we've been talking all about what do you really want? Like, what do you really want in this world, right? And one of the things that I want you to understand is that comfort and greatness, they don't go together, right? You can be comfortable or you can achieve greatness. I was watching a movie of Fred Astaire. We were with my kids and we were out of my aunt's house and she put on this movie, Fred Astaire. And my kids were just like in awe. And I thought, oh, I don't know if they're going to appreciate it, but they did. And I said to them, this is greatness. I said, this is greatness. And if you ever have seen a picture of a prima ballerina and sometimes they show you like what her feet look like under her toe shoes. I think about Fred Astaire and I think about how like that was one take, right? That was one take. And I think that what's happened is we've gotten so soft. We take rejection so hard that we get one hit to the jaw, we're just out. We're just like, I'm done, right? And so we settle for being mediocre when we are meant to be the fullest expression of ourselves. But the last time I checked, nobody's eating a chocolate cake on a treadmill. They're just not, right? They're just not. And so we need to get that edge, right? Because we really do want that. We really do want that. And it means showing up. It means changing our relationship to failure. It means saying to ourselves, like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I just got that feedback that didn't work, because now I know what not to do. That's awesome. That's like an answer key. That's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. And we just show up for it. We had this awesome guy on our show, Ozan Varel, who used to be literally a rocket scientist. And he said, do you know, Kathy, he said, when JFK gave that famous speech and said, we're going to put a man on the moon, he said at that moment in history, he had no way of knowing how they would do that because they didn't even have the technology yet. And yet, several years later, they do it because they don't settle for not having greatness. It's like, we are doing this. And so, of course, we're going to be up for the failure. Elon Musk, he's up for the failure, right? Like we know that's part of the creative process, right? And it goes back to that child. It goes back to that kid inside of all of us who we've told, like, you can't be messy, right? We talked about that early on, right? We talked about that. But it's about not settling for being mediocre. Honestly, our life, right? We talked about how our beliefs create our actions and our actions create our results, right? So our life is a lagging just result of our habits, right? And so we got to show up. We got to show up. The rent is due every day, right? We got to show up, and don't underestimate how those things change, right? Like, I went through, I shared a few days ago, it was really hard. I mean, we already had a pandemic. It was already like a hard summer. And then I've never been pregnant before. I've been pregnant only through fertility. So out of the blue, I got pregnant for the first time at the age of 40. I got pregnant on my own, which is like, I wasn't even trying. Like, it was amazing. And I have 3 beautiful girls who I went through 12 rounds of fertility treatment to have. Each one, I fought for them. I just kept showing up for it. It was like, that's a good example of, like, I wasn't going to take it sitting down. There was so many moments in that doctor's office where they were like, it's just not happening. And they gave me all this data to tell me why I was not going to be a mother, and I would have to hire a surrogate and all of this stuff. And I was like, I'm going in again. Like, let's do this again. Like, give me the drugs. Like, I'm in for it. Like, I'm not going to just no. Like, people who find success, you can give them 99 reasons why something won't work, and they will tell you the one reason why it will, right? That's going back to Dr. King. He's given so many famous speeches, and probably all of you can recount most of the entire speech because it's so unbelievably, like, special and burned in everyone's brain. But what's amazing to me is that my friend Todd Herman said to me that his big famous address, he said, do you know, Kathy, that speech, he wrote it, rewrote it, he rehearsed every line. He knew that the whole world would be looking at him. And he got up on stage that day and he said, I have a dream. I have a dream. And he said that was the only thing not on the paper. It wasn't on the page. And he said, and everyone quotes it. Because in that moment that he had the courage to have a dream, that's vulnerability. Because you know it's not vulnerability to say, I'm cool, I don't want it, I'm fine. I'm so fine. No, you're not. You're not fine. How about you're not fine? How about when you hit your head on the pillow at night, you do want that person back? How about when you hit your head on the pillow at night, you're not feeling like you're playing full out and it sucks? How about you need to tell that person that thing you never told them? How about it's not fine? How about that? And the reason we do that thing about not dreaming is because we don't want to get our heart broken. Because if you do want it and you do have a dream, what happens when it doesn't happen? What happens when the world tries to like knock you down because you're vulnerable and you go, I do want it. I'm not okay. I am totally vulnerable in this moment. That's why that line pierces into our soul. A human being standing up in front of the world and saying, I do have a dream. I'm not cool. I do want it. And I want it so badly. Yes, that's the courage. That's leadership, right? So I wasn't willing to just not do it. I was like, no, I want to have my own child. And it doesn't matter to me if I just keep getting my heart broken, because I'm not giving up without a fight. I will be back in this office. And to me, all the times when I would have a miscarriage or the fertility wouldn't work, I would just be like, let's just keep going. Like, you don't stop till you get there. It's just like, that's just on the way. Like, that's just the journey. And when do you think my daughter was born, my first daughter? Thanksgiving Day. She was born Thanksgiving Day. Do you think we had something to be grateful for? Yes. Right? So long story short, so I went through fertility, then went through more fertility, and, every time wound up, going through several rounds, and I have 3 amazing kids, thank God. Well, then out of the blue, I'm 40 years old, I get pregnant. And for the first 3 months, I was like, I just feel sick. Oh my God, I hope I, God forbid, don't have coronavirus. I felt like garbage for weeks. Then it dawns on me, maybe I should take a pregnancy test. I take a pregnancy test, I'm pregnant. I'm like, there's no way. What? Then we find out it's a boy. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool and special. Like, my husband lost his dad when he was a kid. I'm like, he's going to get to throw a ball with someone. He never got to do that. That's amazing. Then we find out the baby is terminally ill. And it's a really sad story what happened. It was pretty awful. But I wound up having to give the baby back, right? It's a pretty awful story. But the point of the story is that even that, I was so grateful. I said the fact that I got to have that experience, right? In fact, there was a part of me that knew that even once the baby was gone, in fact, I woke up from the surgery in the hospital and the anesthesiologist was there and I was crying when I woke up from surgery, and I said, why am I crying? And she said, as soon as we took the baby, you started to cry. She said, I've only seen that with mothers in surgery, which is amazing to me. But I felt as though the baby actually gave me this gift that somehow, some way, I would need that in order to do even more service in the world. That somehow it would give me more empathy. And then I wound up recording an episode about it, and I got thousands and thousands of emails and letters from people saying, thank you for just breaking down on that podcast, because I've gone through this loss and that loss, and just hearing you being with this loss, like, and having the courage. And I said, wow, the fact that that inspired you to go talk about what you're going through, like, it gave this baby's soul like a legacy. And I wound up, after that, like, giving myself a little like gift every day. Like, after the pregnancy, I was like, well, it's COVID, whatever, I'll have a glass of wine every day at 5:00. And I started to like gain a little bit of weight. And it was interesting because I was like, oh crap, forget it. Now I've gained all this weight. I stopped drinking the wine for a week, and like, I lost all this weight just from stopping drinking the wine. My point, there's so many points in the story, but one of those other points is like, I just had this overwhelming thing happen, and then I was like, oh, now I have all this weight. It's like just making that one change every single day. It actually, we just underestimate what things are going to be. We underestimate how we're going to be able to handle things. We underestimate what a little difference something is going to make. So there was just so much I got from that whole thing. So much. And while we're on this topic, I want, I'm being vulnerable. So I want to share one more really vulnerable thing with you. You've heard me talk about sort of like just allowing it, right? And I was telling you guys about that awesome song that I love. It's by Natalie Taylor. It's called Surrender. And it just makes me think of God, because she says, whenever you're ready, she says it so softly, whenever you're ready, surrender. And I just think about how we hold on. We hold on to all this negativity, this lack of belief of ourselves, all this stuff. And then whenever we're ready, like we could just let it go. And maybe, just maybe, we could allow in more blessing and find a sense of more worthiness and allow ourselves to experience more joy. And oh my God, it's kind of amazing. So I wanted to tell you this experience. I mentioned to you that I went to Onsite, which is an amazing program. And it's an hour outside of Nashville. It's like $7,000 for the week. It's worth every penny. And that week was so transformative for me. And I just wanted to tell you, since we've gotten to know each other for 5 days, what was like the most powerful moment for me, because I thought maybe this could help you. And again, I'm chasing service and significance. So, okay, being vulnerable is part of what, it's part of the cost of admission. So when you're there, you get broken up into groups of about 7 people, and you're with those groups the whole time. There's like 70 people total, and they break you up into these little groups, and you have a therapist who's with you for the week. And everybody works on a different piece, whatever it is for you. And you do these amazing things called like family constellations and psychodrama, where you have somebody in the room play your father, somebody plays your mother, somebody plays you, and you and the therapist sort of feed them lines, and you get to kind of watch it get played out, whatever was your story. It's like really amazing. And then in the room, there's all these props, and so the therapist will sort of use different props depending on what each person she can feel they need. So with me, she had somebody play me, she had somebody play my mother, somebody play my father. And there were these huge pillows in the corner of the room. There was like 12 of them. And she said, okay, so Kathy, you're going to hand this pillow to your mother and tell your mother to hand it to the person who's playing you. And when she hands it to her, have her tell the person playing you as a kid something that she would tell you. And then have her hand her this pillow. And the idea is that like your parents put their stuff on you, right? And so I have this person playing my mom hands me, the girl playing me, this pillow, and she says, I don't want to live. And then she holds this pillow. And then the father walks up and, he says, I'm in love with another woman, and hands her that pillow. And it just goes on and on and on until everyone in the room is just sobbing, right? And then at a certain point, the girl playing me, she's holding like 13 pillows. And they're like these huge, huge pillows. And she could barely hold them. And at this point, she's like on her knees holding them so that they can stay. And you can't even see her at this point. And the therapist says, what do you want to do about this, Kath? What do you, when you're looking at this, what do you think? And everyone's crying in the room. And I'm like, I don't want her holding the pillows anymore. It's too much, And she says, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So she goes, go over to her, go over to her. And she goes, so throw the pillows off. I throw the pillows off. And she says, pick her up. So I pick up this girl, Alex, who's playing me, and we hug each other. And she says, tell her you don't have to live here anymore. I said, you don't have to live here anymore. She goes, tell her again. I said, you don't have to live here anymore. She goes, tell her one more time. And we're both like sobbing. And then she says, now you tell her I'm coming to get you. She goes, tell her I'm coming to get you. I say, I'm coming to get you. She says, tell her again. She goes, now take her hand. And I'm telling you guys, that moment for me, it's like if there was anything left of like any of that stuff, it just shattered. It just completely shattered. And I came back from there and I was like, I'm taking my seat at the table. Like, I think about all of you because I saw those pictures that you posted in the Facebook group on day 1 and 2. She's had enough. She's done. And I want you to go back, and if there's anything you get from this 5 days, I want you to tell her you don't have to live there anymore. I want you to tell her, I'm coming to get you. I am coming for you. Because the stakes are really high. And she has had enough. And I look around, and people are like, oh my God, it's amazing what you do. Oh my God, I can't believe all those people listen to your show. But I'm like, let's go. I need help. Like I can't do your job. I can't do your job. So please, let's go. Let's get off the bench. It's not even asking for that much. It's like, what are you asking from God? Let me be myself. I want to be the potential of the greatest expression of me. Like, why is that such a big freaking deal? That's your job. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. It's like, what's in the way? You telling yourself, I'm not worthy. No one wants to listen to me. I'm an idiot. It's like, can you just stop? Can you just give her a break? Like, it's got to end. It's got to end. My daughter and I, we make puzzles, right? She loves to do puzzles. And you know what the most frustrating thing is when you're doing a puzzle? And my husband always says, put it all back in a Ziploc, because the most frustrating thing is when you finish the puzzle and there's one piece missing. It sucks, right? It doesn't matter if it's like a corner piece, a middle piece, something in the lower 2/3. If there's a piece missing, it's not complete and it sucks. You are that missing piece and you are missing right now. It is missing. And God looks at this world. He's like, let's go. Like, where are you? Like, I need you here. Like, you need to be you. No one else is going to do your work. No one else is going to do your work. Right? There's a million other coaches, right? If you guys don't want to be in this program, like, you'll find your coach. But is anyone doing it the way I'm doing it? No, because they can't, because they're not me. And I can't do their work because I'm not them. There's plenty of room. Of course there's a million podcasts. Of course there's a million delis. Of course there's a million jewelry designers. Not you. You're not there. The piece is missing and it's not complete. It is not complete. We need you here. You've been assigned. So the question I asked at the beginning of today is, we're all asking this question, who the hell am I, right? You're really, my Rabbi David Aaron, he was on my podcast, amazing podcast, and he says, you're a masterpiece, a piece of the master. That's who you are, right? You're needed. You're needed. And anyone who does anything super, super special, it's about getting out of the way and just trusting it. Your whole life has been prep. Every broken part, every hard thing, it's all been prep for you to show up and do your thing. Let's go. I have some really exciting news, so I want to say it. I can't contain it anymore. But do you remember I talked a little bit about Martha Beck during this challenge? So I talked to her, and guess what? Those of you who sign up for Made to Do This by tomorrow night, in addition to Made to Do This, you're also getting a session with Martha Beck. She's coming. How awesome is that? She is the greatest. She's Oprah's life coach. And the woman's not a life coach. The woman has 3 Harvard degrees, undergrad, master's, PhD. She's a genius. And she's like, yeah, I'm a life coach. Let's change the way people think about life coach. Like, that's what I'm in it for. Like, forget psychology. Like, I want to actually coach the hell out of people. She's amazing. We're doing a special session with her. So there you go. New bonus. I just couldn't contain it anymore. Here's another thing. Speaking of Oprah, one of my other good friends is also pretty connected to Oprah. Her name is Sherry Salata. Does anyone know her? She's awesome. She also has a podcast called The Sherry and Nancy Show. She had a tiny little role in Oprah. Let's see. She was president of OWN, president of Harpo, and she was the executive producer of Oprah. She did a few cool things. So she's very, very close to her, and she and I are really good friends. And if you sign up by tomorrow, you're also getting a session with Sherry Salata. That's all I could do. Sorry. It's because, I've got no time. Got no time for it. I know a lot of people are like, I'm going to wait and sign up the next time she does. It's like, really? Really? You're going to wait 4 more months to go ahead and just show up for your life? Let's go. So I'm like, let me talk to the people who, I really want you guys to meet, right? There will be no stopping you. And I have to tell you, the cost of this program, one of those things is worth 4 times the cost of this program. And that's a fact. Some of you know I do something called the Arrive Community. It's a membership, right? And for those of you who are like, what do I do? Do I do a membership or do I join Made to Do This? It's you need to join Made to Do This, because Made to Do This is our signature program where we start from point A and we go to point Z. And it's a 12-week program where we're like, you are doing this. The membership is a nice, beautiful little supplement, right? When you finish Made to Do This, right? When it's like, I just want to keep some momentum going, and you go in there, we have one guest expert a month, but guess what? Just in case you're like, I'm not sure what to do, we're going to give you, if you sign up by tomorrow night, not only do you get the session with Martha Beck, but you're going to get 3 months of the Arrive membership. And Sherry Salata is going to be one of the guest experts that's coming. Also, the other 2 guest experts coming for the Arrive membership are going to be Christy Wright. Do you know Christy Wright? Because she's awesome. She's one of Dave Ramsey's people. She has her own show. She wrote a book called Business Boutique. Her mother was a single mother who started a bakery. She used to sleep on the flour bags while her mother was in the bakery cooking to pay the rent. She's asleep at 4 a.m., 5 years old, sleeping on flour bags. She's an amazing human being who will teach you how to build a business. She's coming. And also my friend Jill Stanton is coming to give a guest expert session. And Jill has a whole program. She has a podcast called Screw the 9 to 5. She's a genius at creating memberships and launches and courses. And she's adorable and funny and Canadian. So all of that, if you sign up by tomorrow at midnight. I'm literally going to try to make this so easy for you because I want you to have the breakthrough. And by the way, that's the biggest part. You signing up, it's like, forget even once you get to week 1 or 2, you're going to get a breakthrough just by deciding, making a decision that you are not going to be cheap with yourself and you're investing in your life. I will also tell you that we raise the price of the program every time because, again, I'm going to do everything in my power to get you to show up for yourself. So this program will cost more when we run it again in 2021. And the other reason is because the value always goes up. Like I always, and you should do that with your products, like keep adding to it, right? So that it's more valuable. And it is more valuable every time. Also, if you sign up by tomorrow night, we're giving away more virtual tickets to the Arrive Summit. So if you sign up by tomorrow night, you'll also get a virtual ticket to the Arrive Summit. And that's what's going on with that. I do have some winners from the people who, and if you already signed up, you get all these bonuses. Sign up early and often, then you get all the bonuses. Some people had some questions like, what if I don't know what I'm supposed to do? Do I sign up for Made to Do This? The promise of the program is that you figure out what you're supposed to do with your life and then you monetize it. And people were like, yeah, but you have people taking all this action. It's like, right, because the clarity only comes from the action. And anyone who's like, I know what I want to do, it's like, come on in. Let's poke around it a little bit. Because sometimes we think we know, but unless you've already found full fulfillment and 7 figures from it, I'm not sure it's the exact offer, right? You might know you want to do something with art or you want to do something with kids, but I want to get in there with you so we can actually find the offer. You should just know that this program, this is not, like I said, this is not about like, let me sit and watch some videos. Like, this is not passive. And some people have said, but when are those programs? When are the videos? So what we do, just so you know, is when you guys come in, we have you fill out a form so we know what time zone you're in. And then we try to stagger the calls so that we can find the best time for all of you. Can you believe that? So we don't have like a, that's when it is, take it or leave it. We will actually look and see when the majority of you are available, and we will make our calls around that, because this is the most important work that I do. So I will make sure that I show up for it when it's the best time for all of us. So that's number one. Number two, in addition to the 2 calls every single week, you have a content call where we go step by step and we start to move you through the process. And we also have an implementation call where you will get that work done. Come hell or high water, you will get that work done. In addition, we will assign you all to a mentor, and then you will have those calls to have those extra moments of hot seats so that you guys can break this down together. And these are the coaches, these are my people, right? These are the people who are with me. This is not like, oh, I hired some random like, these are my girls. You've gotten to know them, right? Beth and Melissa and Ashley and Leslie and Delana and Angela and Emma, like they're amazing. Honest to God, they're like amazing. And they're in there and they know how to build a business and they know how to show up and they know how to really hear you and see you. So I think you'll get a lot out of that. And also in the program, every single day, there's a coach. One of those coaches is managing the Facebook group, which means if you have a question on a Tuesday or a Thursday and you want it answered in between the calls, someone's going to answer you so that you can feel like, oh, I'm not in this by myself. Not to mention, we'll then put you in small peer-led accountability groups in addition to the mentor, in addition to the calls you have with me, so that you can hold each other accountable. And of course, we're going to be doing all kinds of things to get you to get your homework done, like prizes and deadlines and extra little things that you can unlock just by getting your work done, because we want to make sure you get your work done. Let me give you the winners who did their homework yesterday. Winners. Okay. Where are my winners at? Here we go. Megan Davis, Jody Pinheiro, and Sandy Streb. The three of you are all getting that yummy, it's like that tall pumpkin spice latte Voluspa candle and scholarships. So Megan Davis, you just won a full scholarship to Made to Do This. Welcome. That's awesome. And Jody and Sandy, Jody Pinheiro and Sandy Streb, I hope that you can put it to good use. You just won a 50% scholarship. Yes, that's so awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. For the rest of you, I want to give you a couple other cool things. This ain't over till it's over. And the way that we feel about it, we've had the best time with you guys. This has literally been the best group. It always gets better and better. Like, it just is, right? It just is. So we are doing an after party. Yes, today is day 5, but what we decided is we're coming back at noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, Sunday, Monday. Cart closes, okay? Enrollment closes on Friday or whenever we are full. Okay. And I just want you to know, like, everybody who's on this call right now, we can't even take all of you. We try to keep this to like a nice size college class, right? So that you have that feeling of being seen and it's not like, oh my God, there's 20,000 people here. It's like, we don't do that. Okay. But we will either close once we're full or we will close by next Friday, whichever comes first. We're going to show up at noon because we have so many fun things planned. Okay. So over the next few days, there'll be a session here on this Facebook page at noon, and we'll just keep going back over because you might now start to have some questions about this content. And we also want to just keep bringing you more new stuff because there's more. So we figured, why not? So we'll be back. What we will also be doing is tonight, there'll be a homework assignment. I'll be back on Sunday. I'll give you 2 days. I'll give you the whole weekend to catch up on days 1 through 5, and there'll be a scholarship and a couple more great prizes given on Sunday. And we'll post that later today, okay? We'll post that later today. In fact, just to let you know what it's going to be a full scholarship and 2 half scholarships, and it's going to be all of the gifts that we gave away. The Voluspa Candle Aviator Nation hoodie, as well as the Spiritual Gangster tank top and the Beats headphones. So pretty cool stuff. And that's sort of like our final smash, awesome, last big hurrah giveaway prizes. So that means you have till the end of the weekend to watch all those videos. Now, I will tell you this, we do it completely super kosher, like everything's random. So if for some reason you get selected to win a scholarship, but you already signed up, we will refund you. It's happened almost every time that at least one person is chosen that way, and we will refund you Scouts honor because that's just what we do. So you can still sign up and you can get in on all those bonuses. You don't have to worry about any of that. And so I'll come back on Sunday. So watch for the homework today, and that will be due on Sunday, okay? And I'll come back with the announcement for that on Sunday. But there'll be a session tomorrow, noon Eastern Standard Time. This woman, she's amazing, Angela Greaser, who's my integrator. She helps me run this team. She's an amazing coach. She will be here tomorrow with a couple surprise guests. And then I'll be back on Sunday, noon Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern Standard Time. So Sunday, I'll announce the winners for the homework. I do also want to let you know that Tuesday night, all these videos come down. So you have until Sunday to finish it in order to get in on our last giveaway and answer some questions. But all of the content comes down on Tuesday. So make sure that you watch these videos because I think that there's some real good stuff in here, and I want you to get the full value of it. And this group does get archived and closed later next week. Okay, later next week. Also, in order for you, just a little hint, in order for you to be eligible for the last big giveaway, which is Sunday, we want to make sure that you watch those videos. So if you already watched the videos, we'll know that because you left a comment. If you watched the video but you didn't leave a comment, go back and leave a comment just so we know that you watched that video, and then we can see who watched those videos. So make sure that you saw all those videos. You guys, this has been such an extraordinary week. I'm so lifted up from all of you, and I'm here for it. So it's not officially goodbye because we've got some more stuff in store. We'll be showing up at noon Eastern Standard Time the next few days. But if you are on the fence about this program, give yourself the opportunity to at least talk to your mentor about that or post it in the chat. And again, if this isn't for you, right, then I really hope that you go back and look at your notes and say, what am I going to do so that 90 days from now, I'm not in the same place? Because that little kid, she's had enough. And you know that you were put here to do something amazing. And I want you to say yes to the truth that there's a divine assignment for why you're here. And I think that the world needs you, and I'm sure of it. And if it wasn't true, you wouldn't be here. And so I think that the stakes are really high, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And I'm here to very lovingly be that person who like gets in the ring with you and make sure that we pull that best, that we pull that potential like right up to the surface so that you can claim your life and claim your legacy, because it is all about the service and the significance. That is how success will find you every single day of the week, right? So we have so much more to cover. We have so much more to cover. I hope that this was an amazing taste for you. We got to talk a little bit about money mindset. We got to talk about sales. We got to talk about some archetypes of figuring out what you want to do. This program is, I don't know how to say it, 10x, 1000x what this 5 days is. But this gives you a little bit of a taste of what it's like. We will be back the next few days to talk. These bonuses will expire tomorrow at midnight. If you want to hang out with Sherry Salata and Martha Beck, I highly recommend that you get in on this. And it's going to be amazing. And I'm just so grateful to all of you for being so open, so loving, so supportive to one another. So cool. So cool. So we're not over yet. I'm going to post the homework from today, and you'll have another chance to get in on those scholarships on Sunday. We'll announce those winners. I'll be back. I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. You should feel so proud of yourself that you showed up and you were here for this experience, because you did play full out, and I am so impressed, and you gave me such an incredible week. So thank you. Your time is the most valuable thing you have, and it means the world that you decided to spend it with me. So thank you so much. And I'll be back on Sunday, and my team will be back here tomorrow. Angela will be here with some special guests. It ain't over yet. So let's keep the after party going. And if you have any questions, let us know. We love you guys to pieces, and I'll be back in a couple days.